Hey kids, what do you do when you meet someone very different from you? Like maybe they speak a different language. Or maybe they have an odd name. Or maybe they look really different from you.
Well, in today's lesson, we're going to learn about how Jesus wants us to treat people that are different from us. Jesus told a story about a Jewish guy who got beat up.
One day, a Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho.
He was just walking along when, out of nowhere, some bad guys came up, and they beat him up and took all his stuff.
He was really hurt and couldn't even get up to walk. Two religious guys came along, but neither of them bothered to help.
First, a priest came by. He didn't even look at the man. He just passed him on the other side of the road. How rude.
Then, a guy who worked in the temple passed by. He looked at the Jewish man, but then he just walked away.
Those guys believed in God and knew they were supposed to help him.
But they still chose to walk past him and not help him out.
A Samaritan came along and went out of his way to save the man. This was really surprising because the Samaritans and Jews did not get along.
But the Samaritan stopped and helped the Jewish man. He put him on his donkey and took him to a hotel.
At the hotel, he paid for his room and made sure they took care of him while he was healing.
No one would have expected the Samaritan to help this guy out.
But he did, so what's the point of this story? We should be nice to everyone, not just the people who are like us.
That's the whole point of our story. And that's also the whole point of our memory verse. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Our neighbors aren't just the people who live in the house next to us, or the people who look like us.
Our neighbors are every single person around us. And that means we need to love every single person we meet.
So kids, next time you meet someone who speaks a different language than you, or who looks different from you, think of this lesson.
You should love everyone, no matter what they look like.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this week's video. That is one of my favorite stories in all of the Bible. Definitely one of my favorite stories that Jesus told. And of course, you guys know that when Jesus tells a story, there's usually a point behind it. And the thing that I love about this story is that it reminds me that we are God's creation. No matter what we look like, no matter where we come from, no matter what our family looks like, God designed us. God created us. You see behind me, I've got a bike here, and it was a few years ago, but Miss Rebecca, my wife, wanted a bike with a spot that she could carry one of the kids in the back. Now, when I bought this bike, it had a little basket that you usually put groceries there, but I thought I had the bright idea that I would take that basket off, and I created a little bench out of some wood. And this is one of the things that I've made that I've been probably the most proud of. Now, it's not perfect. I've had to put it back together again, but it reminds me, anytime we create something, it reminds me of our Creator and how God created us. And man, the difference between God creating something and me creating something is that God doesn't make a mistake. And I think about you guys, and I think about how different all of you are, and how you look and how you talk, the things that you're good at, the things that you think about, how smart you are. All of those things are things that God made you in a very special way. And I think that's such an important thing to remember. And so the challenge for you and for me is to treat everyone like they are God's creation, especially those that are different than you. And maybe, you're around kids, you're around people that are totally different than you. Maybe there are folks that have disabilities, or they're just a different race or ethnic background than you are. And that's such an important thing. I think that's just a picture of how great and how creative God is. And so that's a reminder to me when I hear that story of the Good Samaritan, that every person, regardless of who they are, where they come from, is God's creation. And so when we know that, we ought to show every person love and respect, regardless of whether or not they're the same as you or different than you. And so that's my challenge to you at school, all right? And I think that's what Jesus would want us to do, is to love the people, especially those that are different, especially those that have different opinions than us, different viewpoints, different backgrounds. And we're called to love every single person. So here's this week's challenge, okay? I would love to see the ways that you are celebrating that God has made you different. Maybe it's the way you look. Maybe there's something that you're really good at that God made you talented in. And I would love to hear those things. You can have your mom or dad post it on this Facebook page, or you could have them text me, call me, and there just might be a little prize for the first 2 or 3 people that chime in. So remember, God loves you. God made each one of us different, and He's called us to love other people too. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next Wednesday.